Alright, in this video we're going to begin to explore the river creation tool. Now with our little island we don't really need a river on here. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but the river tool does have a few differences from the road tool, which we will be using, so I wanted to demonstrate those. So the first thing we're going to do is set up for the river tool, and to do that we have to modify our terrain. Now we know that we have a height, checking it here, of 19.49 meters, and we want to make an indentation for our river. So let's lower that to say 18 meters. And I think maybe over here by our turtles we'll just create an area that's lower here. So we'll lower that out. Very nice. Now we're going to go back to our first tab. Under Miscellaneous, we're going to choose River. And then we're just going to pick a spot here. Make sure, once again, that your Follow Terrain tool is on to make your life easier. And we're going to click, drag that out. And then at the end we're going to double click to get rid of that. And end that out. Excellent. So now the first thing we want to do is add a material to our river. And that can take a little bit of looking around. You will find a couple, I believe, in Ocean. You can use like Lake 1, something like that. Oddly, up here in Levels, you will also find a few. Let's River Forest A, I think might be nice. Or B. We'll try that. We're going to assign that material. And as you can see, we have some water showing up. So now we have our water there. And if this were forest, you would probably want to repaint your terrain underneath. We're going to adjust a few things. We have a width right now of 4, and it's really not covering what we need. So let's bump that up. Let's try 6. Maybe 8. There we go. That looks like that's going all the way across. And since we have it really wide, we're also going to want to increase our border width and our step size to get a little bit more realistic look to it. Now, much like our water volume we did earlier, we're going to want to change our fog density a little bit. 0.01. It's too much. Oh, not what I wanted. 0.05. That's pretty good. Fog color, yeah, we'll stick with a kind of blue oceany color. That's fine. Multiplier's fine. Now we can go in and edit specific points. And on mine it seems to work best if I choose my mover, then click Edit, then go in and pick the particular point I want to move and bring that around. Now we can't move up and down, and this is one of the reasons that I wanted to show you the river tool, because this is one of the differences between it and the road tool. You have to have a flat surface for your river to run along. Okay, whatever your lowest point on here is, that's going to be the height of the river, and there's no changing it from whatever that low point is. You can't run it downhill or anything like that like you can with roads. So we can unclick edit, and maybe we want to move it in a direction like our x-axis. That'll let us move this around however we want. We've made it wide enough it's not going to make too much of a difference, but you can use that to adjust your curves, things like that. So we can turn that off. And now the last thing we want to do, well, second to last thing we want to do, the last thing we want to do in here, this speed is not the speed of your river. We can set this up to, I don't know, we'll say 1. That is the speed of physics objects reacting with your river and what speed they will move along the river. To change the actual speed of our river, instead of it looking like a lake right now, we need to go back to our material editor, and we're going to come down past shader parameters to shader generation parameters, and we will have a water volume flow. We will click that, and now back up in our shader parameters we get our water volume flow speed. And we can make this, I don't know, 2. See how that looks? Maybe 3. Then you can see we get water moving along. I may have made that a bit much. Knock down the tiling a little bit. But anyway, you get the idea. You can play around with it, create your own river. But I definitely wanted you to see the actual river tool only because there are those basic differences between that and the road tool, which we will be exploring next. Alright, it should be noted in the last section on rivers that my river was going the wrong way. So all I did was go into the material for it again, and if you've unselected something, one of the easiest ways to get it back is to hit Control T and bring up your select objects. Make sure you've got the thing you want, and your rollout pops right up. So in the materials, I just went in, and where it gave us our water flow speed, I just changed it to a negative number, which made it flow the other way. Also, at the end of that video, the shader didn't look quite right, and I just really wasn't sure what I'd done. What I'd done was fat-fingered my keyboard, and when I tried to change my width from 6 to 8, I changed it to 86 and stretched it like crazy. So just a note on that last video that that's what happened there. But on that note, let's move on to roads, which is a very similar tool. We're going to come over here, take a look at this. Now, to create roads, we're going to do the same thing that we did for rivers, basically. We're going to go to Miscellaneous in our Objects tab. We're going to pick Road. We're going to make sure that we have Follow Terrain selected right now. And I'm going to make a road going up, up and away. And for this we want a fair amount of places to fiddle with this. we'll keep working that along our path. And if it looks like it's getting a little out of whack, don't worry about that too much. So I'm going to show you how we could have actually made this path without ever having set up our terrain. I just wanted you to practice with the terrain. You can see I put in quite a few where there was a corner. And then we'll do that again up here to make that turn a little easier. And we'll double click to end that. Alright, now we have this awesome road. Which isn't looking too bad down here. But we're going to do a little bit of editing. Yeah, we're all right along here. We're all right along here. But definitely up here we want to do a little bit of editing. So we're going to click our x-axis because I want to bring this out. I'm going to come down to edit. We're going to grab this point, bring that way. Same thing with this point. Make that even up a little bit. And then I think we'll take our y-axis, stretch that back out to normal a little bit. And that doesn't look too bad. Now up here we got pretty darn steep. So we're going to take some of these, click off edit, go to our z-axis, lower these down a little bit. It's not too bad. It's still a little steep, but we'll live with that. And now we're going to do a nifty little thing down underneath our edit. I'm going to say align this to the height map. And what the height map will actually do is the opposite of what it sounds, and it will align itself to where you set your road. So in theory, we could have drug road along this whole thing and then just align the height map to get our path. But I wanted you guys to practice with fiddling with your height maps. So we've got that set up. Now let's apply a material. And roads are down under terrain. So we're going to go down here, open up roads. We're going to give Trail Mud 1 a try. See what that looks like. That looks pretty good. Now we get this edge right here, which we don't want. So it's a good idea to set up your terrain first. Now, Unlike the river tool where we were setting up our terrain for a specific height, basically just go in and do some recoloring around where you want that road so that you get a nice blend, and then lay the road in over the top of it. But as you can see, other than that edge, we have a pretty good looking little path going here. We might have to come in and redo a little bit of our grass here, so that's gotten pulled away from the height map. But no biggie. Pretty good looking trail. So that'll conclude our introduction to roads. Between that and rivers, you should be able to create pretty much all of the paths that you need. Feel free to lay down some roads, rivers, whatever else on your map that you want all over the place. I would love to see what you guys are coming up with after this class in the forums. I'll see you in the next video. Hello everyone. After the end of the road video, in my test runs I'd used a different texture for the road, and this straight edge really bothered me, and I knew there should be a way to fix that, but I had never run into it before. So I did a little hunting down, and I just wanted to add this supplemental piece of video to the end to show you how to get rid of that. If you have a material that's got this ugly straight edge at the end of it, go into the material in your material editor and scroll all the way down past your texture maps, past your shader parameters to your shader generation parameters. Scroll down on that near the bottom where decals checked, and you'll see vertex colors. Check that tick mark and close that out, and you will get a very nice blend to the end of your road texture, and it will blend on each end. So I just wanted to add that on. I apologize for not having that in the previous video, but now we all know. Thanks a lot.